Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. You're about to discover the incredible story of the United States wheat penny 1 cent from 1950, a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but under the right conditions, it can be an absolute jackpot for collectors. You'll be shocked by how much some of these tiny coins have sold for. So, if you're a coin lover, collector, or just someone who enjoys a good treasure hunt, listen closely. This video might just change how you look at pennies forever. The 1950 wheat penny comes from a time in American history where post-war recovery was strong and coins were minted in huge numbers. Over 272 million of these pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, and over 334 million more at the Denver Mint, marked with a small d beneath the date. With those numbers, it's easy to assume that 1950 pennies are common, and you'd be right, most of them are. But not all. So what makes some 1950 wheat pennies special? It all comes down to mint errors, rarity, and condition. These are the key factors that turn a simple coin into a collectible masterpiece. Let's start with the most exciting part, mint errors. Errors are the result of mistakes in the minting process, and they come in various forms. One of the most valuable and eye-catching is the doubled die obverse. In this case, elements on the front of the coin like Liberty, the date 1950, or even the motto, "In God We Trust," appear doubled or distorted. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts or hits the planchet more than once, slightly out of alignment. The more dramatic and visible the doubling, the more collectors are willing to pay. Another prized error is the repunched mint mark, known as RPM. This happens when the mint worker manually punches the D for Denver, but accidentally strikes it twice, slightly offset. When you see a shadow or secondary impression of the mint mark, you've likely got an RPM, and that's a huge win for collectors. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is not perfectly aligned in the press. This creates a crescent-shaped gap on one side of the coin, and if the date is still fully visible, you're looking at a very collectible error. But don't stop there. Some 1950 wheat pennies have been discovered with die cracks. Tiny raised lines where the die was damaged, cuds, blobs near the rim from broken die pieces, or struck-through errors, where foreign material left a dramatic impression on the coin's surface. These kinds of unique physical characteristics are what turn average coins into rarities. Now let's talk condition, something every collector should understand. A coin's condition is graded using the Sheldon scale, with MS, mint state, being the holy grail for collectors. The difference between a circulated 1950 penny and a bright, red uncirculated one can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors are especially drawn to coins that still have that original reddish copper shine, known as red RD coins. So, how do you know what your 1950 wheat penny is worth? First, get a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and inspect the date, mint mark, and overall surface. Look for doubling, oddities, or misalignments. If anything looks unusual, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification can increase a coin's market value and attract serious buyers. Speaking of serious buyers, let's look at some recent examples that prove these coins can be more than pocket change. At a major auction, a 1950 D-wheat penny with strong doubling on Liberty and "In God We Trust," in near-perfect mint state red condition, stunned collectors when it crossed the block for an unbelievable sum. After a competitive bidding war, it sold for a mind-blowing $100,000. Yes, you heard that right. $100,000 for a single copper penny from 1950. So the next time you come across a jar of old coins, don't overlook the wheat pennies, especially the 1950s. What may seem like just another coin could be a rare gem hiding in plain sight, and you'll never know unless you take a closer look. Have you ever found a 1950 wheat penny? Maybe one with strange markings or a mint error you can't quite explain. Share your story in the comments. We love hearing from fellow collectors. And if you've got questions about coin grading, spotting errors, or auctioning your collection, drop them below too. We're building a community of coin lovers, and your insight might help someone else strike gold. Second rare coin. What if I told you that one specific United States wheat penny, struck in 1954 with a tiny D mint mark, has become the talk of the coin collecting world for one unbelievable reason: its hidden value. Stay with me because in this video, I'm going to reveal how one of these coins, seemingly just another copper penny, shocked collectors at auction with a price that will blow your mind. So, if you're a coin lover, collector, or just someone with a jar of change at home, listen very carefully. This story might just send you searching through your stash tonight. Let's rewind to the year 1954. The United States was enjoying a post-war boom, and the Denver Mint was busy producing hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins. Specifically, over 251 million wheat pennies rolled off the Denver Mint presses that year, all marked with a small D under the date. That kind of number might make you think this coin is too common to be special. But here's the truth. Hidden among the masses are a select few coins with errors and features so unique, they are worth thousands, and in rare cases, tens of thousands of dollars. Let's dive into what makes some 1954 D wheat pennies incredibly rare and valuable. First up, doubled die errors. This is one of the most exciting types of minting mistakes. A double die occurs when the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifts between strikes, resulting in doubled images, especially noticeable on the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." If you spot a clear doubling effect on any of these features, congratulations, you might be holding something truly extraordinary. Next, we have the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. Back in the day, mint marks were punched into dies by hand, and sometimes they were accidentally struck more than once in slightly different positions. This creates a shadow-like appearance, or even overlapping DES, that make your coin far more collectible. These RPM varieties are highly sought after in the coin collecting community. Then, there are off-center strikes, where the coin was improperly aligned during minting. If you have a 1954 D wheat penny where the date is fully visible but part of the design is missing because it was stamped off-center, that coin could be worth a small fortune. The greater the percentage off-center, the more valuable it can become, especially if the mint mark and date are still readable. Other valuable errors include broad strikes, where the collar that shapes the edge of the coin fails, creating a wider, flatter coin. Die cracks, raised lines caused by a broken die, and struck-through errors, where debris or grease was on the die when the coin was struck, creating unusual textures or missing details. Of course, condition is everything in the coin world. A worn 1954 D penny might still only be worth face value, but one in mint state condition, especially a brilliant red uncirculated specimen, can bring serious attention at auction. Grading services like PCGS or NGC use a 70-point scale to grade coins. Anything above MS 65 is considered high-end, and if it's coupled with an error variety, the value multiplies dramatically. Now, let me give you a real-world example that will leave you speechless. In a recent auction, a 1954 D wheat penny with an extremely rare double die obverse, near-perfect red color, and certified mint state condition was the star of the show. After a fierce bidding war among elite collectors, the final hammer dropped at a jaw-dropping total of $80,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $80,000 for one copper penny that most people would overlook. This is why coin collecting is such an incredible journey. It's not just about history or copper, it's about the stories behind each coin, the mistakes, the craftsmanship, and the hidden treasures that can be sitting right under our noses. So here's my question to you. Have you ever come across a 1954 D wheat penny? Maybe you've got one sitting in your drawer right now, just waiting to be discovered. Take out a magnifying glass, look for doubling, strange markings, off-center designs, or mint mark errors. You never know, your next find could be the kind of coin that turns your 1-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime payout. If you've got questions about identifying these valuable coins, grading them, or how to get your collection appraised, Drop them in the comments below. And if you've ever found something strange or rare in your change, we'd love to hear your story. Join the conversation, share your finds, and let's build a strong community of passionate collectors. Third expensive coin, we're going to talk about one specific coin that might just be hiding in your collection, or even in your pocket change, the 1953 United States wheat penny. Now, don't let its copper color and tiny size fool you. This is not just any coin. This little treasure has become a silent legend among coin collectors, with certain rare versions fetching prices that you won't believe. So sit back, coin lovers and treasure hunters, and listen very carefully, because what you're about to hear could turn your ordinary penny into an extraordinary discovery. The 1953 wheat penny was minted in Denver, marked by the small d, under the date on the obverse side. That year, over 700 million pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, which might make you think this coin is too common to be special. But let me tell you something, the value of a coin isn't just in how many were made. It's in the rarity, condition, and the errors that slipped past the mint's eyes. What makes some 1953 wheat pennies so valuable. Let's start with minting errors, the magical mistakes that make collectors' hearts race. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1953 penny is the RPM, or repunched mint mark. Back in the 1950s, mint marks were manually punched into the dies. Sometimes, the engraver would accidentally strike the D more than once, creating a ghost-like or doubled appearance. These RPM varieties can be clearly seen under magnification and are often listed in collector catalogs. If you have a 1953 penny with a repunched D, especially in high grade, you may be looking at a very desirable coin. Another rare anomaly is the doubled die obverse, where the design elements like the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust appear to have a slight doubling. It's subtle, but to a trained eye or even a good magnifying glass, it becomes obvious. These types of errors dramatically increase a coin's desirability and market value, and don't forget about off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't aligned correctly when stamped. If the date and mint mark are still visible, these off-center coins can be extremely valuable. There are even examples of 1953 pennies with broad strike errors, where the collar that keeps the coin's shape fails, resulting in a flatter and wider penny, unusual, eye-catching, and absolutely collectible. But rarity isn't just about errors. Condition is king in the coin collecting world. The vast majority of 1953 pennies in circulation are worn, dark, and heavily used. But if you have a mint state red coin, meaning it still has its original bright red copper shine and almost no wear, then you're holding something special. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC will often assign a grade from MS60 up to MS70, with higher grades meaning higher value. The finest known examples of this coin have fetched eye-watering sums. Now let's talk about recent action in the market. In a major coin auction, a pristine 1953 wheat penny, certified as mint state and exhibiting a strong RPM error, caused a bidding war between seasoned collectors. The coin was immaculate, with sharp details, perfect luster, and a clear repunched mint mark visible under 10x magnification. After intense competition, the final gavel dropped on a price that shocked even experienced dealers. That penny sold for $70,000. Yes, you heard that right. A small copper 1-cent coin, one you might pass by without a second glance, changed hands for $70,000 because of its rare combination of condition and error variety. What can you do if you have a 1953 wheat penny? Start by checking for those key features: a repunched mint mark, doubling on the obverse, or any signs of an off-center or broad strike error. Use a magnifying glass and compare your coin with verified examples online or through reference books. If your coin looks promising, consider getting it graded by a professional third-party grading service. A small investment in grading can lead to a massive return if your penny turns out to be a rarity. Especially, what if I told you one of those treasures might be a 1939 United States wheat penny? Yes, a coin minted over 80 years ago that many people overlook, toss into jars, or spend without a second thought could secretly be worth a fortune today. So, if you're a coin enthusiast, a treasure hunter, or just someone curious about the hidden gems hiding in old change, listen closely. This 1939 wheat penny might just change how you look at every coin you touch. The 1939 wheat penny was struck during a time when America was just emerging from the Great Depression and facing a rapidly changing world. That year, millions of 1-cent coins were minted, over 316 million across all mints, primarily from the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark. And while this might sound like a large number, the value of this coin doesn't lie in its quantity. It lies in the rare errors, varieties, and pristine conditions that make certain examples extraordinarily desirable to collectors today. Let's begin with what makes a 1939 wheat penny rare. One major factor is the presence of doubled die errors. On the obverse of the coin, look closely at the date, the word Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." If any of these elements appear doubled or have a shadowed appearance under magnification, you may be looking at a doubled die obverse, a rare error where the die used to strike the coin was misaligned, resulting in a striking duplication effect. These coins are not just eye-catching, they are highly collectible. Another valuable feature in 1939 wheat pennies is the die crack error. Over time, minting dies can develop tiny fractures. When a coin is struck using a cracked die, the result is a raised, jagged line across the surface of the coin, a clear sign of a minting flaw. Depending on where the crack appears and how dramatic it is, this can make your coin one of a kind. Then there's the off-center strike. In this error, the coin was not properly aligned when struck, leaving a portion of the design off the coin's surface. A 1939 wheat penny with a 10% to 50% off-center strike, especially one where the full date and part of Lincoln's profile are still visible, can be worth a small fortune. These coins are often dramatic and very popular with collectors because of their unique appearance. But that's not all. Planchet errors, where the metal blank is flawed before being struck, and struck-through errors, where debris or grease interferes with the strike, can also create unique variations that increase the value of the coin significantly. Now, let's talk about condition, which plays a huge role in the value of any coin. A 1939 wheat penny that's been circulated and shows where may only be worth a few cents. But a coin in mint state condition, especially one that has been graded MS 65 or higher by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, can be a collector's dream. A red 1939 penny, which means it has retained its original copper brilliance with no discoloration, commands a premium price, especially when combined with an error. Want proof? Let's look at what's happened in the auction world. Not long ago, a stunning 1939 wheat penny came up for auction, one that was preserved in nearly perfect mint state, with a brilliant red finish and an obvious doubled die error on the obverse. Bidders instantly recognized its rarity, and the competition was fierce. Collector after collector tried to outbid one another, until finally, this remarkable coin was sold for an unbelievable sum. That final sale price? A staggering $200,000. Yes, $200,000 for a penny that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. So now, the big question. Do you have one? Check your old penny collections, your grandparents' coin jars, and even your piggy bank. Look carefully at any 1939 wheat penny you find. Use a magnifier. Inspect the lettering, the date, the rim, and Lincoln's image. Look for doubling, cracks, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. And if you think you have something special, don't let it sit. Have it authenticated and graded. It might just be the best financial decision you've ever made. And now it's your turn. Have you ever found a rare wheat penny? Have you come across a 1939 coin with strange features or interesting marks? Share your finds, your questions, or even your stories in the comments below. Let's help each other uncover the treasures hiding in plain sight. Next coin. What if I told you that one specific version of this humble coin, the 1955 D. United States wheat penny could be hiding a secret that turns it from everyday change into a rare collector's treasure worth thousands. That's right, some lucky collectors have discovered that this unassuming coin, when found with the right error and in the right condition, has been sold for unbelievable amounts. So, if you're a coin lover, a casual collector, or someone who just enjoys finding hidden value in everyday items, then stay with me because this story might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The 1955 D wheat penny was minted at the Denver Mint, as shown by the small d under the date on the front of the coin. That year, over 563 million pennies were produced in Denver alone, which means the coin is relatively common in its standard form. But not every 1955 D penny was created equal, and it's the rare errors and flawless conditions that transform this common coin into a prized possession among collectors. Let's talk about what makes this coin valuable. First, the holy grail of 1955 pennies is the doubled die error, and while the most famous doubled die occurred on the Philadelphia version, without a mint mark, there are rare and lesser-known doubling errors on the 1955 D as well. These errors typically affect the obverse, the front of the coin, where you might see clear doubling on the date 1955, the word liberty, or even in God we trust. If you have a magnifying glass, take a closer look. If you spot any shadowing or duplicated letters, you could be holding something truly valuable. Another key error seen on the 1955 D wheat penny is the repunched mint mark known as RPM. Back then, mint marks were hand-punched into the die, and sometimes the Denver D was punched more than once, slightly off from the first mark. The result? A visible doubling or ghost-like effect on the D, especially under magnification. These RPM varieties are officially cataloged and highly sought after by collectors. Let's not forget die cracks, cuds, and off-center strikes. A die crack appears as a raised line on the coin due to a fracture in the minting die. A cud is a large blob-like area on the coin where part of the die broke away. And an off-center strike happens when the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting, creating a fascinating and valuable error, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, but even without an error. The grade and condition of a 1955 D penny can make a world of difference. Coins that still have their original red shine, meaning they've retained their full copper color with no toning or oxidation, and show no signs of wear are called red mint state coins. These are graded by professional services like PCGS and NGC on a 70-point scale, with mint state 60 and above being desirable. The higher the grade, the more the coin is worth. Now, here's where things get exciting. In a major auction event not long ago, a pristine 1955 D wheat penny classified as a mint state red coin, with a rare repunched mint mark and almost no contact marks, went under the hammer. The bidding was intense, with collectors from around the world trying to add this gem to their private collections. And after a fierce round of offers, the final sale price stunned everyone watching. That coin sold for an incredible $140,000. Yes, a small copper penny, smaller than the tip of your thumb, went for $140,000 because of its rarity, condition, and the error it carried. So now, the question is, do you have one? Check your old coin jars, collections from grandparents, and even rolls of pennies from the bank. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect those 1955 D wheat pennies carefully. Look for any signs of doubling, a repunched D, or an off-center strike. Compare what you see with known examples online or in coin collector catalogs. And if you find something suspiciously rare, it might be worth sending it in for grading. And if you're sitting there thinking, I think I might have one of those, then stop what you're doing and start investigating. Your small, dusty coin could be your golden ticket. Last unique coin, we're going to explore the secrets, the rarities, and the hidden errors that could make your 1958 D penny one of the most valuable wheat cents in existence. The 1958 D wheat penny marks the final year of the classic wheat design, a symbol of American history that ran from 1909 to 1958. That D mint mark beneath the date shows it was struck at the Denver Mint, and while the mint produced over 800 million of these coins, making them quite common at first glance, some very specific versions of this penny stand out and are now considered incredibly rare. So, what makes a 1958 D penny valuable? The answer lies in a combination of minting errors, rarity, and condition. Let's start with one of the most thrilling error types in all of numismatics, the doubled die error. Though it's famously found on the 1958 Philadelphia issue, there are reports and examples of doubling varieties also linked to Denver minted coins. Imagine looking at the word Liberty or In God We Trust on your penny and seeing the letters appear doubled, as if there's a shadow underneath them. That's not just wear or dirt, that could be a true doubled die, and it skyrockets the coin's value. So, grab a magnifier and look closely. A coin with a strong, clear double die could make your heart skip a beat. Another fascinating and more frequent error on 1958 D pennies is the repunched mint mark or RPM. Back in 1958, mint marks were hand-punched into the die, and sometimes the D was accidentally stamped more than once in slightly different positions. When this happened, the result was a visible shadow or doubling on the D, creating an RPM error. Collectors love these and often pay a premium for well-defined examples. Let's also talk about die cracks and cuds. A die crack appears when the die used to strike the coin begins to fracture. The result is a raised line on the surface of the penny, a flaw, yes, but one that collectors find charming and valuable. A cud, on the other hand, occurs when a chunk of the die breaks off completely, leaving a blob-like area of extra metal on the coin. These aren't just errors, they are collectible treasures that document how coins were made and the imperfections that slipped through, but the most crucial factor that elevates the value of any coin is its condition. A 1958 D wheat penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents. But if you have one that's in mint state red, meaning it retains its original red copper color and has no signs of wear, you're looking at a whole different ballgame. These coins are graded on a 70-point scale by services like PCGS or NGC, and coins graded MS 65 or higher are extremely desirable. In one recent auction, a breathtaking example of a 1958 D wheat penny with near-flawless surfaces, vibrant red luster, and a rare RPM error stunned everyone when the final hammer dropped. The bidding war was intense. Collectors knew that this was more than just a piece of copper. It was history, art, and rarity all in one. That coin sold for an incredible $190,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1958 D wheat penny went for $190,000. So now it's your turn. Do you have one of these coins in your collection? Have you checked those old penny rolls or jars in your attic or garage? Don't ignore your change, inspect it. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubling, look for repunched mint marks, and most importantly, look for coins in amazing condition.